Hello everyone, it's Carl here from Games, Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhbl.com, and I am honoured to be joined by Ben from the London-based metal band Empire Warning.
How's it going, Carl? You all right, man?
Yeah, I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, doing good. Going a bit mental in the world situation at the moment, but, you know, getting there.
Well, before we get into that, you are being sent off because that is going to have to come up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I bet.
That we are sending you off to a desert island because you've had enough of everything, and be it the world issues or the government in this country or just the way things are overall. You decide to live out the remaining years on an island, a nice island. It's got a beach, you know, sandy beach, palm trees.
Plug socket.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do have a secret power line that we run under the sand that we only show people if they ask about it. But yeah, we're giving you 3 items. That's 3 games of books, 3 horror movies, and 3 records, plus 1 extra secret thing that we do at the end, which we'll reveal at the end.
Okay.
Never tell anyone about beforehand because it's off the cuff.
There was me really going, you know what, I'm gonna come up with some good ones, come up with my favorite things in the world. But yeah.
It's always an interesting balance of whether people choose their favorite things in the world or things with longevity. That, e.g., you're on an island, and if I'm going to be reading a book or playing a game, can I sustain that over a certain period of time?
Yeah, no, of course. Game-wise, it's very much like all-time. Movies, a lot of all-time for horrors, and albums, that fluctuates so much.
It does.
That's one I'll probably stop listening to music forever on Desert Island until I'm ready to go back to them.
So, before we get into your first choices, the games or the books, how's life been then for you over the last couple of months in the COVID times, as we call it?
It's been tricky. It's been really difficult. Like, I'm a father of 2, so it's been interesting having them home and sort of striking up that balance between giving them freedom, making sure they're learning or being creative or something like that. We don't want to force school onto them because it's stressful enough in the world at the moment. But not to say that we're not teaching at the same time. So there was that. As yourself, we're key workers, so we've been working through this whole time as well, which has been a bit of an added pressure. And musically, it's been tricky. It's been really difficult. We've had some issues like playing Bloodstock last year and everything. We had some really nice momentum going and loads of things were rolling. We're now unfortunately about 4 months behind on the album because my MacBook broke down. So just as I was starting to get on with tracking, doing a lot more of the pre-production, so we're ready to hit the ground running. That went, so I had to wait a little while before I could afford a new one of those, and so it's been slow going, but we're up and running, moving forwards, and you know, just taking every day as it comes, even as a family here, just taking every day as it comes and enjoying enjoying the time together, if that makes sense, making the best of a situation that's horrible, and really, you know, having a great family time, which has been an absolute blessing, if I'm honest.
It's one of the few highlights, I guess, from this period is that extra time potentially at home. As you say, family time, spending it with longer hours, I guess, than you normally would, because that's normality.
Yeah. It goes one of 2 ways, really. Luckily enough, our way went that it was very nice. It was everything was quite new again.
Okay, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Like being able to really connect and not be passing ships. Me and my partner, we both work, and she's very busy as well. We've been working from home the whole time and creating content for nurseries, for the nursery that she works for kids and for anyone that wants to look. So she's doing that for the Masborough nursery, and having the kids in home and everything. So instead of our daily routine where we've got a lot of things that goes on with the kids, we're passing through night sort of, you know, she's coming in, I'm going to take the kids to swimming or something, and then I'm coming back, and you know, finding time together was really difficult. And even with the kids, even though we were taking them places and doing loads with them, Like if my boy was swimming, he would be in the swimming pool and I'd be there waiting for him, just waiting to take him home. But we've been able to do a lot more activities together. It's been sort of, like I said, the silver line to it is that it's been nice quality time together rather than just being overly active all the time.
And as a key worker, as someone that's been going to work daily, regularly throughout this entire period, did you find, because I did, and we're in the same job, that I found myself very disconnected from what was going on outside in the world? Because life didn't really feel like it had changed that much. Obviously, there were changes obvious at work, but just going in and doing the same hours and the same shift and the same results, that's how it felt for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that was there really was the awareness of what was going on. Like having to go to work and seeing it not so busy during certain times. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, you sort of disconnect from the people that were trapped at home, or the idea of people that were stuck at home because we were having to go out and go to work. I think the time it hit home for me was just a little while after they mentioned about people needing to isolate for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
My partner got symptoms, so I had to isolate for 2 weeks with her. So that was the time that it really hit home of like, wow. God, look at the world around us. This is even crazier. Instead of just going into work and just seeing it being a bit quieter. So yeah.
When almost like a reality check, suddenly it becomes real because suddenly now you're involved. Yeah,
incredibly. And scary. And then reading that the Spanish flu lasted for 3 years, just going, oh God, let's hope medical science has gotten a lot better.
Well, if the Russians are to be believed, we'll be fine by November.
Yeah.
This is how zombie outbreaks start, mate. This is how they start.
We rush it through.
And suddenly, this is it. It's a horror movie all over, man.
You know what? Thinking about everything there, I had Return of the Living Dead stuck in my head and just the big canister just stuck and someone knocks it all of a sudden, send more paramedics.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness me. But obviously, I suppose the biggest effect on your personal life, obviously then, is what you've already sort of talked about, was the effect it's had on Empire Warning. So you had all this momentum and you can't basically ground to a halt almost. Not just, you had the MacBook Pro issues, but ultimately you couldn't even get out and play live. You couldn't do anything. But you are rebuilding that back up.
Yeah, exactly. We had 2 tours planned that were cancelled. We had we were in talks for a possible festival slot somewhere, but they got abandoned.
Oh, was it this year? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, no. The possible festival slot I really want is one that we're working towards, and hopefully one day we'll get back there. But so it's just loads of little things, loads of little shows. We finally, after releasing the EP, got the physical copies, and we're about to go on the tour to do the sort of EP release, launched with physical copies to sell, and then bang, that was it.
Yeah.
We've got copies gathering dust.
Just a boxes full of them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole point is we only really want to sell them at shows, like as something, as a keepsake to take away.
Yeah.
Or I say a keepsake, that's just something that, you can take away from the show, rather than just streaming everything. So yeah.
Well, yeah, because more people, I mean, it sounds obvious, but buying an EP online and going through the pages and doing the shipping and all that and getting it sent to you is one thing. And whereas if you're at a show and you're seeing Empire Warning and maybe you don't even know of you guys and you're just there out of curiosity and because it's a gig and stuff like that, you're more likely to pick up whatever it is, a £5, £6 EP.
Yeah.
As that, oh, they were great, let me support them that way. So I feel like you'd sell 10 times more at the show than you would online.
Yeah, I mean, there's hoping. I mean, there's a few people that I need to send a couple of the physical copies off because there's a few thank yous in there for certain people, like Simon Yarwood from up in Leicester. He was great, and to the guys from Fat Angel who were amazing. So keeping a couple of copies aside for them, but they're the only people we really want to ship it to. It's all the logistics of it as well. The price that we're selling the EP at is really a minimal earn on us. So we don't want to charge people shipping or anything on it. Like it's a 4-track. Is it 4 tracks? Yeah, 4-track EP. So we don't really want to be making people pay through the nose for 4 tracks, because we just don't think it's fair. We wouldn't want to pay it ourselves. We're considerate. We're one of the most considerate bands out there.
Well, there's an expectation with a 4-track EP that it goes at a certain price. But ultimately, I mean, you're a modern band. You know the score of what it is to be in a band, to be in the underground scene in the UK as well. There is no money to be made here. Yes. You will have to have jobs. You will have to do everything yourself. Does that ever drag you guys down?
No. It's an interesting learning curve. Like, so all of a sudden you want to be in a band, you just want to play music. All of a sudden you've got to learn to be a promoter, you've got to learn to be a manager, you've got to learn to be your own PR. It's very, very interesting when you look at everything, and then when you start looking into really trying to get technical into it and looking at algorithms for YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and thinking, God, we got a lot to do already. We can't keep up with what they're expecting from us to sort of get out to people, but we try our best. You know, all you can do is try your best and hope that someone's going to take enough notice to think, you know what, these guys are worth my time, I'm going to manage them or something, which then would take some of the pressure off.
That would be nice, but it's also worth noting that all those algorithms and the issues and the difficulty you have with social media and keeping your posts relevant, it doesn't just, it applies to a band starting this week, to a band that's been going 20 odd years. Absolutely, we talk to bands that have been going that long, and we always kind of talk about their social media presence and how they're finding the modern world of being a band, and almost everybody says the same thing, it starts with a sigh, and just that side of things.
I mean, we're quite lucky. I mean, we're just over a decade old as a band, really, and we all grew up in a time where the internet sort of kicked in. So we've grown with technology and so on. So we're not as afraid of it. Is afraid a good word? I'm not sure. We're not as flummoxed or surprised by having to adapt to every new technology or every new social media outlet for us to be able to try and do this. We're not as phased as some people would be. But it's not easy. Even a new band starting out and everything, it's not easy, because you find that a lot of new bands will make the mistake of just putting out rubbish. They'll just be putting out absolutely pointless little photos, or there'll be no plan to their marketing. And planning marketing I hate it. That's the one thing I hate, but it's got to be done. There's
the days of the 80s rock stars where all you had to do was play the music, get the CD out and the label, and everyone else would do everything for you, and then you could just go party and do coke, are pretty much gone. Yeah, very much so. And I mean, the thing is, I just wanted to play music. I wasn't even into the idea of the partying and everything. A few drinks would be nice afterwards, but to have it in the day and age where everything comes out your pocket, to be really honest and really brutal with anyone that wants to start a band, you've got to really love music and love what you're doing, because the industry or your wallet even is just not going to love you. It's a harsh reality of now, but it needs to be said, it needs to be known. Do it for the right reasons. That sounds so obvious, do it for the right reasons. But if you're in it for making money, go get a job. If you stop loving what you're doing, just stop. Just stop. There's no point. Find something else. You've got one life to live. Another band, even if that's another band, if you stop doing what you love, just find something else you're going to do what you're going to love. Good. Right. First choices then. What are we doing? Is it games and books, or a combination of both?
It's games.
Games. Perfect.
Games. Massive gamer. So we're going to go for some games. And it's an interesting mix, to be fair. So I'm going to do them in order from ascending order.
Okay.
Right. So from 3 to 1. All right. So this is in level of games that I play the most. So at 3, I'm putting in Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, okay. The original, presumably.
Yeah. Not the remake.
Okay,
the original, because the remake isn't a finished game yet.
It is not.
I'm even waiting for all the episodes to come out before I even start it.
Fair dues. I haven't touched it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of turn-based battles.
Yes, absolutely.
So to have that sort of the way they changed up the battling system, I was just like, okay, but I'm still going to play it though because it's Final Fantasy 7.
So I'm going to take a wild punt and say, based off your age, that you are a PlayStation 1 kid.
A PlayStation 1, I'm actually full on a NES and Master System onwards kid. I started early.
You started early, yeah. Same here, man. It was the NES as well, and Master System. Exactly those two systems.
Yeah,
and I had a Game Gear, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, so did I. I got one, and it was just apart from the battery life. I mean, I never played columns so much in my life.
Those fucking batteries, though, man. Oh my god.
I remember sitting there with the shortest ever power cable, the adapter that I was bought, and I'm leaning over the armchair, just sort of like.
Yeah, the bloody things.
Great times. But but PlayStation 1, I remember getting Final Fantasy 7 for Christmas. And I'm really funny about games that I know are going to be long, like RPGs. Like, I just don't want to start them. I've got a few games that are here that because I want to be able to put the time in. And I remember putting it on, like, just out of all of them, I put it on Christmas morning, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Right. So then I'm playing, and then had to be taken to go see Nan and Grandad. And then realised that when I saved the game and I looked back at my save file, I'd already done 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, let me get back to this. Oh, no, because I was still, no, let me start again. No, but I've already done 3 hours. Let's see where this goes. And then just carried on and I just remember so many weekends after a long week of school, just playing away at that game, leveling up materia, leveling up my characters, falling in love with sort of the idea that Sephiroth had about sort of people damaging the planet and them not deserving it. It's like making a wrong decision for the right reason or doing the wrong thing for the right reason is sort of conflicting in my mind. But then, so...
Makes a layered villain.
Yeah. And it was one of the first ones that I really sort of was just like, that's such a good character.
Yeah.
You know, so loved it. It's a story that I never get bored of, and I think it's a game that I've probably completed the most, gone back and played. I think it's had one of the most except for number 1, it's had the second most replay value for me in the world.
Okay, right, okay, I follow what you mean. So, are there any more? Are the other 2 games Final Fantasy games?
No.
Oh, okay, so on that then, so did you kind of continue the Final Fantasy like after that? Did you play 8, 9, and so on?
You know what? I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't. I started playing 8 and.
Very different, yeah.
Because I loved the control system of 7. You know, the whole gunblade thing and everything. Not to say I'm not going to go back and play it. It just wasn't for me. I only just recently bought 9, I think, on my Switch for those long night shifts after I finished everything that I need to do for the evening, and all the contracts are booked on. So been slowly going through it, and that's I'm enjoying that now.
Oh, I love 9. 9's my favourite ever Final Fantasy game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been really getting into it, story wise and everything. So I'm getting through that.
Cool. Hope you enjoy it. You'll have to let me know. All right, what's number 2 then?
Number 2 is the most recent one on the list. It's Mortal Kombat 11.
Mortal Kombat 11, really?
Yeah.
Why?
There's so much about it that I think Mortal Kombat gets right now. Right, compared to all the other beat 'em ups, you know, when they pulled themselves away from 3D to go back into that 2D realm, the whole system of the fighting, the whole system of there's sort of a simplistic layout because a lot of the moves are same commands, but combos and everything. And when you really look into sort of the fighting styles and the ranges of fighters, like as in the physical ranges, like some mid-range, close combos and things like that. And the story mode is top notch on this one, just like MK10. But MK11, as a modern beat 'em up goes, I've played so often, and I really, really enjoy it.
That's such Final Fantasy 7, Mortal Kombat 11 as well. Like, so I'm very surprised by that. Is it like Mortal Kombat love overall, or is it just that individual game?
Well, it's Mortal Kombat love overall.
Okay.
I do love Mortal Kombat in general. I love another thing. I love the way they changed up. They have like these X-ray moves where
X-ray moves, yeah.
Yeah. But now instead of you powering it up, it's like a last ditch sort of, I'm in a bind, your health gets to this much before it activates.
Okay.
So, which is a nice little way of doing it. They changed a lot in this game with the little systems and the defense systems and so on. But yeah, overall, like a massive Mortal Kombat fan. Was a much bigger Street Fighter fan and a much bigger Tekken fan at one point. Because Street Fighter 2 just set the standard, let's be fair.
Of course, yeah.
You know, I can still go back to that and love it just as much as day one. But this game, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because they also released the Aftermath stuff, which is a second part of the story.
Okay, that's
so they've given you one story mode at the beginning, and then a continuation of the story. So it's something about it. It just draws me to it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't relate because I don't hate fighting games, but I don't play them enough. And I think if the modern games, I probably only really enjoy Soul Calibur.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But that harks back to my childhood with the Sega Saturn and Virtua Fighter. I always loved I love the ring outs. I love the system of having a ring out, and that's something Soul Calibur does.
Yeah. No, I remember killing Soul Calibur often. I believe that the first one was on the Saturn.
It might have been. I didn't play it back then. It wasn't actually. I didn't play a Soul Calibur until Soul Calibur 4.
Oh, okay. Because my friend, I never had a Saturn. I've had pretty much every console except a Saturn and anything I don't like.
You didn't exactly miss out, man.
But no, I went to my friend's house all the time and we played. And I remember playing games with ring outs and doing a cheeky little grab off the side and where you'd sort of swap locations. I was such a cheap player.
Oh, it was great fun though. It's just different as well, going from those 2D fighters. So back to the Mortal Kombat thing now then. So as a fan then of Mortal Kombat overall, I have to then ask, well, what do you think of the movies?
The movies?
Yeah.
The first one I can let go. The first one I can watch and be like, you know what? 'Cause I only watched it again the other week. I saw it was randomly on Netflix or something, and I was like, you know what? Come on then, let's go. And I watched it. I'm like, you know what? It's not awful. It's not great. Let's be really fair. It's better than the Street Fighter one, but the Street Fighter has its own charm because, you know, Raul Julia. And for some reason, Jean-Claude Van Damme playing an American.
Oh, that's amazing, isn't it? It's just brilliant.
Casting. Thank you, 1990s.
As soon as that music, Mortal Kombat, as soon as that music hits at the start, you're like, yep, I'm back in. Yep, this is good.
Yeah. But then Retribution. Come on now. How do you follow up a semi-okay and think, you know, they should have ended it there and been like, okay, that's it for Mortal Kombat movies. But then Retribution came out.
Oh, you mean Annihilation?
Annihilation even.
Yeah.
Retribution, you know, I've been talking about someone else.
I think you think about Resident Evil.
You can either cut that or just leave me to like an idiot. That's your call. But yeah, when Annihilation came out, what's Retribution?
Resident Evil Retribution? That's one of the movies.
You know what? That's in my mind, yeah. For no good reason. I hated the Resident Evil movies.
To be fair, Mortal Kombat Retribution does sound like a fucking film title.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no. Is that because... Oh, I can't remember now, because I just recently watched the Scorpion anime that came out.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think if it's Scorpion's Retribution or something. Oh, I'm probably completely wrong and looking like an idiot now, but yeah, no. When Annihilation came out, that was just like... That's enough.
Yeah.
This is taking too long. It was just introducing characters for the sake of introducing them. I think Sindel was in it as well, wasn't she? And
she was. There was a heavy
awfully portrayed. But in the new Mortal Kombat game, it's one of the best that I use. I love using Sindel, but Yeah, I mean, Mortal Kombat's got such a rich lore as well. Like, if you delve deep into all the stories and so on, and the stuff that they've got rid of and retconned and they've corrected a lot recently, yeah, it's incredible.
Fantastic. All right, your last one then.
A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Oh wow, you've chosen a Link to the Past. That is
Yes.
the first time anyone Zelda games have come up almost.
I bet you Ocarina, Majora.
No, Ocarina and most recently Breath of the Wild.
And Breath of the Wild is amazing. It's incredible.
But Link to the Past.
Yeah. It's the whole reason is the way that it harkened back to the top-down view, because Legend of Zelda 2 was awful.
Side-scrolling, yeah.
Side-scrolling, shooting out those little flashy daggers. It wasn't right. This game, I remember clearly the first day I ever saw this game being played. I didn't own it myself, and this then became me begging my dad for a copy. I went to my friend's house. His name was Martin, and I was going to stay over. He was there, his cousins. It was like a massive sleepover, and they put this one-player game on, and I was a bit annoyed that they were putting on a one-player game because they had the multi-tap there and bombing out. But I started watching them play. I was like, this is great. What is this? What kind of game is this? It's the first RPG that I really took notice of. So I was just like, what? And so I begged my dad for it. I ended up getting it, started it. There's just something about the charm of that game, right? I'm not going to say it's even the best Legend of Zelda game in the series overall. You know, Ocarina of Time pretty much deserves that. And I would say closely followed by Breath of the Wild now, except for weapons breaking. But this game, I just remember the charm of it. Everything about the way that it was played, everything about it drew me in. I was so lost in playing this game that it was just the one for me, and I've played it countless amounts of time.
What about the is it a remake or re-release that came out on Switch for it the last year?
Oh, that was of Link's Awakening.
Oh, it was Link's Awakening, not a Link to the Past. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that makes up for me saying Retribution a little while ago.
There's my You know, I've never played.
It's really quite decent. I've got it. I bought it. It's another one of those games where it harkens. The thing is, Legend of Zelda games, I always remember where I've played them.
Okay.
They always sort of harken back memories for me, because I remember getting Link's Awakening when we were out in America. And we were doing a long journey. We were driving, I think, from South Carolina to Florida.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
But there's me with my little green screen Game Boy. And it was bought for me while we were there. And I was playing it through, you know, sort of hoping for lights from the street lamps as we were on the motorways and so on.
Way before backlit, man.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, I remember seeing old Game Boy, like later on down the line, old mods to get the green Game Boy to have a backlight.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, no, as a game went as well, that was incredible. So matching that up to the new remake is very cartoony in its art style.
Very looks, yeah.
Which, for me at first, I was like, oh, come on now, really? But it's a Zelda game.
Yeah.
So it's a Zelda game. So I just went, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just go for it. So I bought it. It was very, very loyal to the original. The remake, it doesn't have a lot different, except for art style. It is a full-on remake. There might be a few little extra things I haven't seen yet, but it's great. I will highly recommend it as a remake. But yeah, like I said, I remember them all.
Yeah. Certainly, obviously related to your child, but enough appreciation as a grown adult now as well to reflect on what was good and bad.
Yeah, I've got the SNES Classic Mini.
Oh, cool.
I finished it on there already as well.
So these three games that you've chosen, do you kind of see them as well as time sinks that effectively they are large enough, or something in the case of Mortal Kombat, you can effectively play over and over again day by day?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Final Fantasy 7 and A Link to the Past, it's very much, I can spend a lot of time on there, right? There is actually a tactical reason as well for putting MK11 in there, because if I was to put my top 3 games, I probably would have Resident Evil 4 in there.
Oh, okay.
All right, but this is tactical. I'm stuck on a desert island. If these 2 games, like Final Fantasy 7 and A Link to the Past, massive enough, story-driven, absolutely fantastic. Mortal Kombat, I can play it for a bit, I can put it down.
Yeah.
Right, the story mode is fantastic. That's a good, 4 or 5 hours of gameplay just to go through the story mode. But, I feel like a quick game or something. Let me have a quick fight. Bang, 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 done.
Yep. Killed your ball for the evening. You've eaten at your campfire. You just
Exactly.
half an hour before you sleep.
Exactly, that's it.
Right then, before we move on to the next one, which will be your horror movies, we are going to talk then, I guess, about last year, because this is the difficult point with Empire Warning, and I guess most bands. 2020 is a write-off year, so you end up going, okay, well, let's look at what was the most significant events in your career today. I guess to a degree, you'll have to correct me if there's been something bigger. Has there?
Not really. Not in itself for the sort of show that it was. No, there's nothing bigger, to be fair.
Well, so for people who don't know, who may not be aware, who weren't there, Empire Warning played Bloodstock 2019, the New Blood stage, after winning the London Metal to the Masses. The most terrifying Metal to the Masses we say this all the bloody time, me and Brendan. But we just take one look at that damn competition and go, what the hell is going on there? Incredibly well run. And obviously you won that, which is an incredible feat in itself. That journey, sell Metal to the Masses to someone. As someone who's won it and went through the long process of the London one in particular, can you sell that to someone who might be considering it? Particularly if we consider 2021's Bloodstock could have more options available based off the extra day.
Yeah. To begin with, don't look at it as a contest or a competition, right? That's where I would start in saying all of that. Look at it as shows that you just need to play your arse off to, all right? Think of it as a place where you meet new bands that you necessarily wouldn't meet on the circuits that you're on because of different styles and so on and so forth. So there's your chance to network with bands that you have never met before, right? Make friendships that you wouldn't realize that you would have, all right? From there, yes, the ultimate prize is to win a place at Bloodstock, right? But from a band that it took 4 years to get through and win Metal to the Masses, especially with the size of Metal to the Masses London, going out is not necessarily the be-all and end-all. It's not necessarily something that you need to take as a negative, because so many people are going to be there to give you feedback, especially the judges and so on, that you go, okay, you know what, let me step back, let me readdress, right? If you do it once and win, great, good luck, good on you, you've done really well, you're a top quality band, right? If you've gone out once, twice, 3 times like we did, right, it is your opportunity to really, if you're serious about what you're doing, assess and make yourself better. So entering Metal to the Masses isn't just about winning a prize, it's about getting yourself to a place where you are criticize yourself in the right way, you are constructive about what you are doing, and you are looking to make yourself better to achieve what you want to achieve.
Very, very well put. One of the biggest negatives I see from sort of bands that are nervous about starting is the whole concept of battle of the bands competition, e.g. who can bring the biggest crowd down. No, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. That's the best thing about it. Like, you have the judging situation, right? And it starts with, I believe it's crowds with a high percentage of judges to begin with. And then that slowly changes until you get to the final. And it's just one man. For us, it was Rob Bannister, who came down and, said our name, in which we were absolutely shocked. We didn't think we were going to win. Why?
We've been a semi-finalist band every single year.
Yeah.
Right? We got to the final and literally put our hands up and said, you know what? If this is where it is, right, this is the last one we're doing, we'll move on and make our way some other way.
Fair enough. I see what you're thinking, yeah.
So this is us for Metal to the Masses. It's time for other people to have a chance. We've done it for 4 years now. right? It's time to just give that a rest. But in saying that, we got up on stage and had fun. We got up and we played a show where we were just having absolute fun. There was no planning everything out. There was no overthinking, overanalyzing, you know, and Rob called our name. So that was just like, I mean, Grant had even gone home. Grant had drunk too much after we played. Right? Grant had literally knocked back so many beers that he was like, you know what? I've got to go work in the morning and I'm a bit drunk. So he went, even when we phoned him and said, I think it was Jordan, our drummer, he phoned him and went, Grant, we just won. And he went, fuck off. Right?
Of course, you would, wouldn't you?
And hung up. It wasn't until the next day that he realised when he saw the photos that we weren't taking the mick.
Oh, wicked. What a lovely surprise for the morning.
Yeah. But the gutting thing is the picture of us where we're with Rob and Mick, who is amazing, who leads up all the London Metals and Masses. Absolutely love Mick. He's not in there. Grant is not in those pictures, you know. But Rico's in there, so we pretend he's, you know, in the band.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate loss, but it was made up for by what the end result was in the end.
Yeah, which was absolutely incredible, and we couldn't have asked for a better experience at all. Like, we're fighting to make our way back there.
Well, of course, yeah. It's no secret, obviously, that many bands start their journeys, Metal to the Masses, get to the New Blood or the Jaeger stage, depending upon what that result is, and then end up back at Bloodstock, either in the Sophie stage and so on. It's happened to so many. We saw loads a couple last year that did it. So
yeah. And that's the thing. We love the festival in general. You know, the vibe of it, the people that are working there, the people in the press tent, like meeting yourselves was absolutely lovely. So everything about being there is great. The crowd is absolutely fantastic. It seems like Bloodstock seems to pull together a metal crowd that has quite a like mind.
Yeah,
and are willing to listen to unsigned bands.
Yeah,
you know, they won't just pass by. And the tents that, you know, and the stages that Bloodstock offer to people, like especially taking the Sophie stage, for instance, with it being a mix between signed and unsigned bands. That stage is massive. That tent is massive. You know, even New Blood, that little corner of the world is not little.
No, you can. Yeah, I've never been in there where it's been like to the point where it's rammed where people can't get in. But you could easily fit. Oh God, I can't even take a hazard guess. 1,000 people, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah. At least.
Yeah.
At least 1,000 people. Like looking in and seeing videos where people have panned round from our set and seeing the amount of people that were actually in there watching us was just like, you know, thank you very much. We really appreciate everyone that took the time out of their festival to come and see us. We were so grateful to see people in that tent who not necessarily would have known of us at all, and left where, you know, a few people have waved us down as we're walking through the festival and gone, you know what, well done. That was a great set.
Oh, that's always nice. Yeah.
Oh, it's one of the nicest. You know, walking off a stage in London and people going, "Oh, good set, man." You're sort of like, "Yeah, cool." But then complete stranger from someone who's somewhere else in the UK or the world, just to go, "That's a good set, man." You know, even one of the members of 10 Ton Slug said some nice things about us to our friend CJ, and that meant a lot. Like, we would really love to gig with them one day.
It's absolutely. It's almost like a peer acknowledging, because 10 Ton Slug, obviously. An amazing band, of course.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely love what they do.
So, aside from Bloodstock, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of trying to get on festival bills when you've already done that sort of route. But where else would you like to kind of see? I mean, I guess everywhere is where you want to see Empire Warning play. But like, as festivals, can you see yourself on bills like of Download and things like that?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
You know, like, I would love to play Download. I remember the early days of Download where they had this tiny little trailer for bands, and I know that they've sort of changed that over. Yeah, as in like the first one, like when Download and Ozfest were.
I'm from those days. I remember the band.
Yeah. Seeing Tool and seeing the one time that I remember seeing System of a Down play a stonking, blinding, note perfect set
Don't believe it. Never happens, mate. Not once. I was gonna say maybe back in like the late 90s.
Once before Tool came on stage.
Okay.
Honestly, absolutely, honestly, it was the one time that they blew me away because I remember seeing them again afterwards and being like, huh, okay.
I'm glad you got.
I love the band. I love the band. I love Darren. I love the whole band. They're absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Just there's a lot of drugs involved, I think.
Okay, right. Let's do your horror movies then.
Okay, at number 3, Evil Dead.
Right. Specify the Evil Dead, the first one, or
the first one? Because you said horror film.
Yes. Okay. Very good.
All right. Well, number 2. Let's go fair. It goes horror film, like horror, horror comedy.
Yeah.
To comedy horror.
I would go as far to say slapstick.
Oh yeah. No, but even in Evil Dead, even in the original one, which I have in my lovely Necronomicon foam.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Falling apart through the years book. There's slapstick moments in that.
Oh yeah.
Like full on, like when Ash is attacking Linda with a plank.
Oh yeah, that's very slapsticky.
You know, 3-4 times is fine. When you're seeing him slap him about 10 times, you're either gonna laugh or think it's gratuitous.
Yeah.
Hilarious. So, but everything about the first one just screamed the perfect student film. You know, from the tree that did Unmentionables.
Yeah.
Like everything, it was sort of in its time. Really, I'm gonna say it pushed the envelope a little bit much for what it was.
Yep.
But it was great. It's one of those things that would really that has been inspirational for a lot of people. And I love Sam Raimi.
I don't know. Whenever I think Sam Raimi, really, other than the Evil Dead, a lot of bad movies jump in my head first, which is quite frustrating. The likes of Spider-Man 3, Drag Me to Hell, movies that.
You know what? With Drag Me to Hell, the premise, the concept, there's a lot about it that is just like, you know what? Okay, that thing about the button and it just taking, it was just a long-winded thing. But when Raimi gets it right, he gets it right. Like if you look back and we say Darkman.
Wow, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you pull in things like Darkman and you're just like, okay, you know what? He gets it right, he gets it wrong. Spider-Man 2, out of all of them with Dr. Octopus, was really quite good.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I do.
But the sometimes the hits are hits, the flops are flops.
It was a really obviously, they sort of stand out brightly more than the good, which can be quite frustrating when you got a talented writer and director and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Like you tell me how many people really know of Darkman in this day and age.
Ooh, God,
you just want to educate. Do you know what I mean? It's
You start saying Sam Raimi, people got Evil Dead, and then they honestly start talking about Army of Darkness, which I'm not really a fan of as a film and so on.
You know what? There was something about Army of Darkness that had something that I enjoyed. I think it was because you had all the Ashisms.
Yeah. There's he's certainly front and center. He went from being, almost similar to Freddy Krueger, whereas in like the original Nightmare, Robert Englund is billed at last with Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. By the time you get to the fourth Nightmare on Elm Street, he's now the first name that appears. That's what it is with Ash.
You might want to hold off on that one.
Okay, we'll get into that. I wanted to ask you, I got to grab this.
Yep.
When do you reckon you saw The Evil Dead first? How young were you?
First Evil Deads? 13 or 14.
Wow, very, very young then.
Yeah. So it's really quite late, which is not as young as I was when I saw my next film.
Do you reckon at that time you saw the uncut version of The Evil Dead?
I think so.
It would have been out.
I believe it was just as DVDs were coming in, to be fair. And my friend had a DVD player before anyone else, and I remember him always. He had a multi-regional one, and he would get these things. So, or was it on video? Because I used to go to his house a lot. The guy that owned the Saturn, and used to watch all these things. So I think, I do remember. I think it was when the first uncut version came on DVD that I saw the uncut version. I think the first version I seen might have been somewhat edited.
Yeah. The reason why I'm asking is because it was one of the video nasties. It got caught up in video nasty panic of 84 and so on, and I think it was cut. It was like it got out of that quite early. Like its uncut version came out quite early, and the fact that you've chosen it, because currently on my side over here that I've just pulled is a pile of video nasties. We're doing a series on YouTube.
Oh, nice. Where
every 2 weeks we do a video nasty, uncut and collecting and so on. And at the very top of the current pile is The Evil Dead.
Amazing.
So this made me laugh that you would choose that.
Because you also, didn't you do one about Brain Dead recently?
Oh yeah, but that was separate. That's a different series. That's
10 things you liked and 10 things you didn't like, right?
Yeah, it's that series. Yeah.
I caught some of that and then had to dash out. I'm gonna go back to watch that. It's on my to watch list on YouTube at the minute.
Yeah, it's just sort of a balanced thing with the idea. When we came up with the idea, we were basing it off the movie 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was like, well, how can we turn that into something that's a little bit slapstick, not supposed to be taken too seriously? Because once you use the word hate, and I love Brain Dead, for example.
Oh, I love Brain Dead. From the moment you see that monkey in that stop motion monkey in the first place, you're sold.
But then you've got to come up with 10 things you apparently hate about it. So you're kind of studying these things and going, right, what can I,
And to think that's early on in the career of someone that made Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I mean, that's the maddest thing of all. He went from that to the likes of even like the 90s film The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. But even Bad Taste as well. I think Bad Taste was the first one, wasn't it? I don't know the order anymore.
Either do I. I didn't see Bad Taste till like 2 years ago. Yeah, I'd never seen it. I've never seen it because I just never saw it. And I watched it.
Tied his brain back into his head.
Yeah, it just sometimes there's a classic movie that's well known that everybody says they've seen, and you just never get around to watching it. I'll give you another example, not horror. I only watched Blade Runner for the first time last year. Yeah, never seen it before. No. Yeah.
No, that's up there. One of my classics. Our intro to going out on stage is Rutger Hauer's speech.
Yep.
That is literally our going out on stage sort of music. We wrote some music behind it, and
it generally is one of those where it was like I just never saw. I didn't see it when I was younger, and then as time goes by and people tell you to see something, it sometimes puts me off. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, this movie came out in the 80s. It's probably going to be quite old. Does it really matter anymore? With Blade Runner, I was very glad. I love it. It was amazing. And I straight away watched the sequel afterwards. Like straight after, I ended up watching the
new one. Yeah, I haven't watched that.
Oh, the thing is, I ended up really liking it.
I find it really hard, especially with something that, for me, is a film that stands a test of time in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Or that dystopian future with the replicants and everything is great. I do need to watch it. I know it's on. Just waiting for my mind to be in the right place. It's like I said earlier about starting an RPG.
Yeah.
You want to start it, you just don't want to start it now.
Yeah, and it's a near 3-hour movie. You need that commitment, that willingness to sit and give it the time it deserves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right, we've gone off a tangent, so let's get it back to the second choice.
Movie number 2 is the first horror movie that I think I ever watched.
Okay.
And there is a reason why it's even more scarier to me when I look back on it than people would possibly say. And it's the original It.
Oh, wow, the TV miniseries.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, scary, man. Scary.
Yeah. Well, here's a reason why it was even scarier for me. So I would go over to my mate's house after school. I believe I was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Right, and my mate was in secondary school. So I would go over to his after we both finished school, and we put on It. Now, I would only have a few hours before I had to go home for dinner. This is a time before mobile phones, and you were given a time to go home. You went home.
Of course.
So I watched that. The flipping 2 VHS box set of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I watched all of that with Tim Curry doing what Tim Curry does best. In chunks. I watched it in all these little chunks, and on purpose, just as something really frightening, really nasty would happen, right? Bang. Then you've got to go home for dinner, ain't you, mate? So it would leave me awake at night.
Really?
I was just like, oh my God, this, because Pennywise, like, I get why people are scared of clowns. Not necessarily I am, but I get the idea of it. But caught me because I've watched it in tiny chunks over the course of a week.
So you've not got no time, like you're not watching it. You're ending a segment on, say, a particularly terrifying or scary moment, and you're not perhaps getting the lightness that comes afterwards. Yeah,
there's no closure and no nothing to that situation. So it's, it was terrifying for me. I absolutely love it. I love the performance in it. I even actually really quite like the remake.
Both parts?
On as a whole, yes.
Okay, cool.
Right, the first one much better than the second, but the way they address sort of the adult section of like the adult years of it all is better than how they addressed it with John Boy Wharton back in the old one. Do you know what I mean? That's
God, no. I grew up in Ireland. Most of my childhood was in Ireland, where one of the things that was constantly on was the Waltons. So when I eventually got around to watching it and saw John Boy in it, I that was me. I was a kid and I still couldn't take it seriously. I was like, no, can't do this.
Nope, I was I remember because I stayed at my nan's every Saturday night. I always got to stay at my nan and granddad's. Sunday morning, the Waltons was on.
Yeah.
So every Sunday morning, without fail, I'd be watching the Waltons, and every time it'd pop up, I'd be like, nah, John Boy. every time. But yeah, except for the ending of the original It, I think it's really quite good, really quite well done. But the remake, I do feel, ends on a better light.
Okay. I've not seen the remake I've not seen the second part of the remake. I did really like the first
one.
Oh,
okay. You need to. It, on a whole, it really works out.
It's one of those, me and the wife have both been like, okay, we'll watch it eventually. But then something else always comes up and that's what ends up happening, gets replayed.
Push this one forward before it gets too late, because part of me doesn't think it's going to age well, the second part. Right? But yeah, get onto that. I think, as a whole with both films, I really quite enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the ending more than having a bunch of kids kick the crap out of a
giant spider
and take its heart out.
Yeah, there is that. Did you ever read the book?
I have read most of the book. I put it down after a certain part. It's a very hard read after that little bit.
It throws you off, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it makes you really glad that they've never put it in the movies.
Yet there was a section of the fan base screaming about it should be in before authenticity. Fucking lunatics, man.
My God, why? It's just like the reason why. Oh no, I'll get to that. Oh no, maybe I'll segue. It's the reason why I hate the remake to my number one horror film.
Let's do it.
Right, and and it's the fact, like, my favorite horror film is, my number one on my list is Nightmare on Elm Street. Right, and there are many reasons for it, even though it's one of the obvious ones. Let's be fair, because it's one of the horror icons. Right, but back onto the remake. It's the reason why I hated the remake. The remake, first half of it, you're like, okay, you know what? I'm adjusting to this. I can deal with Rorschach being Freddy. But then they turn him into a pedo. That's my issue, right? Like, I know I shouldn't really use the word, but like the fact that this is going to sound weird in itself, right? It's acceptable to be a child killer in my mind, but not acceptable to be what he is in the other movie.
Okay.
Right? Because it's not, on the whole, right? It's not the fact that he killed children that is the focus of what he's doing, which is wrong, right? It's the fact that he's taking out his revenge on the children's children, on the children of the people who did wrong him.
Yeah.
And then the way that it segues off in the other films afterwards, right? Because the movies in my mind go, 1, Dream Warriors. Let's forget everything.
Yeah, 1 to 3. Yeah, okay. All right.
Go 1, Dream Warriors and onwards.
Yep.
All right. But yeah, so I found that really uncomfortable. I felt like it ruined the whole premise of the way that the remake was done. But back to the original, which is, I think, it's the first horror movie that made me think.
Okay.
Right? It's the one that made me think and freak myself out after I'd watched it.
Ooh.
All right.
What age do you reckon?
12.
12. Right. I reckon it's about that for me too.
Yeah, 11, 12. It was the one that I watched after it. So I watched it at 10. So yeah, 11 probably. All right.
Far too young to be watching that film, kids. Don't be watching it.
Yeah.
At that age.
Yep. But I encourage you, if you want to be cool, then maybe, you know, think about
You want to be cool.
peer pressure action. But yeah, watching that, and the whole setup, you know, you can't escape from your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't escape when you're asleep. You can only have so much control in there. The way that it got me thinking was like, this character, he's in your dreams. You can't escape. You've got that, the most personal space that you've got is in your dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No one can get into your dreams. You're just there. So this guy, you know, you're trapped in your own mind with someone who has virtually unlimited power in your own space. That is just, it's harrowing to me. You know, and the way that all works out is brilliant. And then the backstory of Freddie in general is fantastic. You know, Nancy's acting is a bit ropey, but that adds to the charm of it. Johnny Depp was great in it. You know, and it just, Robert Englund in general, you know, you even from that first point, you could tell that a horror icon was born.
Yes.
Right? That there's no one in this world, especially after watching the remake, that could be Freddy Krueger.
A big sign is that the remake is now already 10 years old. Then
Yes, we saw that last night. I was talking to my partner about it last night. Me and Mrs. were talking, and when I saw 10 years, because we watched the newest Halloween last night for the first time.
Oh, okay.
So I only just got around to that, which is
awesome.
Yeah, very much so. I love how it feels like the original Halloween film at the beginning, for like the first half after the mental asylum.
Mm-hmm.
So from there on, it feels like the original, and then goes off into something new.
Yep.
So it's sort of like an old meets new sort of thing, which I loved. And yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis hasn't missed a beat. She was fantastic. You know, everything about it. I think it was a good thing that John Carpenter had come out of, had got it back to do it. I can't believe I almost forgot John Carpenter's name now.
I was wondering what the shaking head was. Like you would like shake.
I had this moment where I spaced and I felt disappointed in myself for forgetting John Carpenter's name. You know?
Going back to Nightmare.
Yeah.
You will not believe this, and I swear, people, we planned this interview through a handful of messages after missing the original day and so on. There's been no discussion beforehand, but call it coincidence that in the last 2 weeks, as a plan for something that will come out around Halloween, I have just rewatched every single Nightmare on Elm Street movie from the first one all the way up to the remake. Every single one in the last 2 weeks. And the movies I grew up with, but obviously some of the sequels you kind of maybe didn't see as much.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. And I have to pick your brains then about these sequels. So the first and the third, you talked about that and Dream Warriors as the two. And you're right, they are an original movie with its sequel. And in between that, you have Freddy's Revenge.
I'm sorry, nothing exists in between that. Nothing exists in between that. We're done on this conversation. It doesn't exist, but I'll pretend it does for now.
It's a good movie.
It's all right. It would be better if it wasn't Freddy.
Fair point. I don't necessarily think it's a Freddy Krueger movie.
Exactly. I feel like it draws too much away from the character that, in general, you know and love.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
The fact that he forced himself into the world through someone's body and things like that. There's things that just didn't sit right.
Yep.
Right? I mean, to be fair, I've gone through probably the last 10 years of not watching number 2. Like, I'm pulling out the box set and going 1, 3. Number 2 is probably the most pristine disc in there. Right? Okay, how about this? Right? Yeah. I'm going to sit myself through number 2 again.
Yeah.
Right, properly. Might even get a notepad out, and we will have another conversation on that one.
Absolutely, because I found I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah, I really did. The lead actor, Mark Patton, I thought it was excellent, like excellent. And it's got a lot of people I really enjoy in it, likes of Clu Gallagher, who's one of my favourite actors from The Return of the Living Dead and things like that. Right. You know, it's to compare. It sounds stupid. It's the comparison between, like, here's a really tasty sandwich that's got all the things you love in it, which is the first film, and the third film, say, and then you get the second film, which is the same sandwich, but basically the butter's a lot thinner. It's got a lot less of what you like into it, but it's still enjoyable because it's got elements you do like. That kind of shit, you know. All
right, I'm gonna rewatch it. And this is definitely a conversation for another time, because my knowledge of it compared to what it was, I will honestly say that it's been a long time since I've watched it. I just have flashbacks of the club scenes and all that stuff, and I'm just like, oh, this is. But if it's aged better,
God,
like let's be fair, people are now starting to call One Hot Minute a masterpiece. You know, after years of everything, I didn't mind it. Love Dave Navarro as a guitarist. But you know, it's apparently aged better than when it came out. So I'll give it a go. If it's aged better, and I'm doing it for you.
Time can be a great healer in all aspects. What about Dream Child and Dream Master 4 and 5?
I like them.
Yep. Okay, cool.
I can't. You know, they've got their charm about them.
Yep.
You know, there's the whole like even leading up to New Nightmare and everything as well. Even New Nightmare has a charm to it, even though it's inside a studio. But Dream Child, I like Dream Child. How they got to the baby aspect in the first place and him was weird.
By that point, weird is the understatement for the story.
Even things like, you know, having the souls, what was it, screaming in the meatball.
Oh yeah, the meatball.
I'm trying to say stuff without giving everything away. How sweet dark meat and all that. You know, I found more that he came into his own with the one-liners. I think.
Oh yes.
You know, but I do think that they had too many one-liners in Dream Master and Dream Child, just because of the "Welcome to Prime Time" comment in Dream Warriors, which sparked all that off. But you got more of a character. Freddy, in his comical sense, especially in those two, had moments where he came across a bit more sinister. But they are lighter in tone. Like, I think they're filmed quite lighter as well compared to the previous three.
There's a lot more in daytime. Which is such a weird thing to think, but it's so much for its daytime.
Yeah. I've never stopped back to think about it. Yeah, of course, like falling asleep in class.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, stuff like that. Whereas always, you know, focused more on nighttime in the earlier movies, which, I don't know, maybe it's an aesthetic thing.
Or maybe, yeah, I think it's a lot of, you know, when you pass out sort of at school or something, or you pass out during the day, I think it's that whole, are they dreaming, are they not sort of idea. So, who knows? But yeah, I mean, the thing is, the whole series, except for the second one, I'm a massive fan of, even at its worst moments. But I'm going to go back to the second one.
We're not moving on yet. I am not going to accept because the worst movie comes up, and rewatching it is still as terrible. Freddy's Dead.
Freddy's Dead. I remember watching it with the 3D glasses.
Yep, same here. The blue and red.
Yeah, inside the original DVD box set, and it was an exercise in trying to get to a point of having the 3D, you know, and him sort of moving across. I still would say number 2 is worse from this moment.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay.
Like I said, to me, 1 and 3, it doesn't exist.
It's a fact. I mean, that's the point of it.
Just like what's it called? Halloween, Season of the Witch doesn't exist in my mind. Is it Season of the Witch that doesn't exist?
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
No, number 2, not Season of the Witch. Season of the Witch exists, very much so exists. Halloween 2 was the one that I felt.
Oh my goodness, we could be here all day arguing back and forth, but I can't agree with that.
I'm going to go back and rewatch. And make sure that. Thing is, I as much as I was a massive Halloween fan, I love the first one so much more than everything else that I didn't watch them as often. So I'm going to go back I'm going to watch them and make sure that I haven't just completely ballsed up and looked like an idiot again.
No, not at all. The last thing I'll add is that what you said at the very start about your issue with the remake, I just wanted to say, it's actually something I actually surprisingly agree with. One of the things I struggled the most with when rewatching it as well was the change. Because a lot of people believe and have forgotten and think that the original Freddy Krueger was a paedophile in the original movies, but he wasn't. He was a child killer. In fact, it's never said at all that there's anything related to paedophilia. Whereas in the remake, it's not just hammered, it's done as a twist where
that little hidden cubby hole and the photo, it's...
I threw my hands up in the air and I don't even watched it I watched it when it first came out in 2010.
Went to the cinema.
Never watched it again until now, and I'd forgotten it.
Yeah, and it just, give me Freddy versus Jason over that.
Yeah, 100%, man. At least that's fun.
Yeah, exactly. It just, it just doesn't sit right at all. And the worst part is going through the first little part of it, going through the first section, like the first half hour, 40 minutes of the movie. That scene in the diner where he sort of shows up. Yep. Right, where Freddy shows up there, and you've got, he's not doing a bad job. I'm suspending the fact that I love Robert Englund. Right, I'm suspending that. I even love him in flipping Dream Master, but Wishmaster even. But let's not go into that one because that's a whole heap of another conversation. Yeah. So I was suspending how much I love Robert's work. And then that happened, and I was just like, I'm done. Such a shame because Jackie Earle Haley is a great actor, so it's such a shame. Yeah. Right, let's move on from the horror. Great choices, great conversation. Well, let's talk about the future. Let's try and talk about the future and where Empire Warning is right now and what you're doing. Empire Warning are in a good place.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen each other barely enough, obviously. We had a day where everyone came around and I sprayed them down and disinfected them. I say everyone, it was just LCO and Grant. And we started getting back to work on the last couple of tracks for the new album.
Yeah.
So we're just into pre-production for the album, which is now 4 months behind schedule.
Whose schedule? Your schedule?
Our own personal schedule.
Right, fair dues. Yep.
Right, we've got the next year and a half planned out. The next year and a half and planned out, and then sort of like if this happens, then this happens, sort of. It sort of goes off like that, which now has massive holes in it because, like I said, certain gigs, certain tours, certain things like that have all disappeared. We've got plans to do a music video for Will I Ever off of the EP. So that's going to be a self-done one, completely just trying to prove that you can do a decent music video on a budget.
Excellent.
We learned a lot from the Stuck music video. We're proud of what we did, but it's not the quality we want.
Right, okay.
But it was the first one that we did like that, and we feel like from that we had a massive learning experience. So we're going to do that and a video on making a music video on a budget, and see where we can go from that. We've got some budget lights and some budget this, that, and the other, and trying to see where our cost ends up coming in on doing this.
Interesting.
And at what sort of quality we can get it. I've got a feeling we're going to go above budget, to be fair, but that's all part of the video, and we'll be, because it's very difficult to make a music video for very, very cheap for a nice cinematic quality.
Well, it depends what you want to do, really, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we want to look as pro as we can. So it's to have a pro quality looking video at whatever the cheapest we can do it. Moving on from that, like I said, pre-production for the album. So the date on that has gone back by about 4 months. We were aiming for October, November this year. So
early 2021, realistically.
Yeah, exactly, which is a shame because having it out earlier would have given us more of a step to promote an album and get festivals involved.
Selling point. Yeah.
And being able to, it's easier to sort of, if you've got a product to sell and product to move on with and something that you can roll and get interest with, festivals are more likely to entertain a conversation at least. So we're hoping to get that out. Like I said, it's been pushed back, but you know, we're working hard. We're doing what we can from home, and yeah, just pushing forwards and hoping that a few of the things I can't talk about due to various other things, which I might tell you a little bit later, because this is quite a cool thing. Hoping that these things happen in the new year.
Honestly, I'm used to it. I'm used to hearing that, well, I can't talk about this, can't talk about that. I never really ask anymore. I tend to just go, well, what can you talk about? What plans have you got in place? As much as you possibly can during the COVID times.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, during the COVID times, it's all the pre-production and everything that we're doing. Yeah. Get ready that as soon as we can get into the studio that we record drums and so on in, with Paul from Black Orchid Empire.
Cool.
So once we can get in there and just get Jordan to track, then a lot of stuff we work remotely with them, so we will track guitars and stuff from home, send them in, and you know, they Paul will help me co-produce. So yeah, it's stuff like that. We're just getting through. The things I can't talk about is stuff that I wish I could, because it's very exciting.
That's good. No, that's more than exciting enough for anyone who's watching. Basically, watch this space, keep your eye on Empire Warning social media goddamn account, and you'll find out when you're ready to say.
when we're allowed to say.
When you're allowed. Oh, that's the
thing. That's what makes it exciting, when we're allowed to say.
Which is super exciting. Without telling me, obviously, what it is. Does the album have a title?
Oh, the album at the moment, it's our first album, and we always said we wanted our first album to be self-titled.
Okay.
So we at the moment we're with it being Empire Warning.
Everyone's got to do one.
Yeah, exactly. We thought it'd be cool like that, but who knows what time's going to say?
Who knows what will jump to mind?
Yeah, exactly.
Okie dokie. Right.
Plus, there's an ongoing joke with the naming of our albums, by the way, or EPs. Yeah, which you would never notice unless I've told you. The first EP that came out in, I think, 2013, which then got, you know, we had a lot of dead time because we lost drummers and so on. It's called Hail to the Rat King.
Mm-hmm.
But Hail to the Rat King isn't on there.
No, it's on Unite and Die.
Unite and Die. And Unite and Die is actually a track which is going to be on the album.
Oh, all right. I like that. That's quite cool.
You know, because it became an inside joke from the whole thing of the fact that we had the song Unite and Die, and it was just like, oh, it's not on here. Well, let's just name it that anyway. Because we did the same with Hail to the Rat King.
Oh, I like it. It's a nice little... when you're big and famous 10 years' time, it'll be pub quiz trivia.
Yeah, exactly. Tidbit of knowledge.
Right, let's do your records then. What records are we bringing?
Okay, the first one is a band that I was really late to the party with, unfortunately.
Okay, cool.
And if you're a fan of this band, you'll sort of get what I mean by late to the party, because I never got to see them live. But it is a Cardiacs album.
Oh, wow, Cardiacs.
Right, so it's Sing to God Part 2.
Okay.
I have never sat down and listened to an album from beginning to end and felt so drained.
Really?
Like in the best sort of emotional, sort of artistical way. I had listened to it and I was just done for the day.
Wow.
Like the minute it opens with Dirty Boy is incredible.
Wow. I'm not a fan, to be honest. You know, I even in the sense where I wouldn't even say I know the Cardiacs well. That sounds terrifying prospect to listen to.
Oh no! In the greatest way. Like you know Pete from Acid Rain, right?
Of course.
He's a massive Cardiacs fan.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and the weirdest thing is, the person who got me onto Cardiacs it's actually a pub singer.
Really?
Like, sings like he's a crooner and everything.
Oh.
Right, and I've known him since I was young, and he always told me I need to listen to Cardiacs. Just when he saw that I was proper branching out and listening to metal on my own and not all the stuff that my dad was playing with.
Mm.
And it took years before I got into it. So like I said, I was late to the party because Tim got really ill and I never ever got to see them gig.
Mm.
But I talked to Pete about them all the time. And if you ask Pete about it, Pete knows even more than I do. It's a band that you either love or you don't.
Okay.
My opinion. I absolutely adore them. That whole album, like I said, is the first one of theirs I listened from beginning to end. And you can see why so many bands are inspired by Cardiacs. You know, it's without going too much into it, it is just a great album to just go through, and it's not even a horrible prospect of feeling burnt out or anything afterwards. It's like you've just had the most pleasant day of just doing so much within, you know, an hour, that you just need a moment to yourself just to take it all in.
I love that, man. That's amazing. I'm always pleased, regardless whether I know it or not, when someone takes anything like that away from music. You know, that's the point.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. We'll talk about it when you've listened.
What's your second choice then?
Okay, it is Korn, Follow the Leader.
Oh my goodness me! Wow, that takes me back to being a youngster.
Yeah, exactly. Had to put it in there.
Okay.
Had to. It's just one of those, like, I was going back between. Do I put Black Labyrinth in there, the Jonathan Davis album, because I absolutely adore that.
Okay.
Do I put in the first album because I adore that too? But I keep going back to the fact that I love the way Got the Life kicks in.
Okay.
You know, cool. I love Dead Bodies Everywhere. There is more on this album that I'm just like, yep, okay, you know what? That's hit. And I understand it's the sort of old Total Request Live MTV darling album.
Well, more certain songs are, I think, than anything else. I mean, you are talking about some of the most overplayed Korn songs being on that. The obvious, the likes of Freak on a Leash, you know, overplayed is the word. It doesn't make them bad, it just means they're overplayed.
No, but then you look into other songs on that, like
Justin.
Dead Bodies, and Dead Bodies Everywhere, and even All in the Family.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
You know, even if Fred Durst is involved, you know, you can't win them all. But, you know, and I've got my issues about Limp Bizkit. I was a massive Limp Bizkit fan, but I think so more for Sam Rivers, Wes Borland, and John Otto.
Okay.
Because they're amazing. All three of them are amazing musicians. You know, if anyone wants to tell me that Wes Borland isn't a fantastic, innovative guitarist, come fight me.
Okay. All right. The only thing I would say, well, that innovation is being put to great use there, isn't it?
It's a shame. It's Abercrombie and Fitch metal, isn't it? So, I just, Fred Durst is the modern day Axl Rose. I feel like, just polarizing, and he's everything that's not great with that band, in my opinion. Yeah, I can still listen to those albums, but back to Korn. I just love Korn. Everything about them, especially since Head came back, it feels right again.
Right. What do you make of then the odd period of Korn music, the dubstep era?
Now you're talking to someone who very much got caught up playing in a ska hip hop band for years, and one of the guys who left that was became a dubstep producer who's quite well known in the dubstep scene, called Stinkerbell.
Okay, Stinkerbell.
Stinkerbell, as I like Tinkerbell, but it smells. I really quite like dubstep. There's something about it. Not all of it. Some of it is just not there. But I feel like it's the metal of dance music.
Okay, I can see.
Like the raw sort of aggressive synths and everything that kick in. So there's a lot that I like. So I really liked when Skrillex did the album with Korn.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of it was quite tastefully done. Twisted Transistor, it's hit and miss. I feel like a lot of those times on those albums, there was some killer and a lot more filler.
Fair dues.
Right, but there were still some good tracks. Like, is it Volume 4, I think they called it, or something? The one with Let the Guilt Go?
I wouldn't know about the tracks, but it was, oh my goodness me, the Paradigm Shift. Oh.
Paradigm Shift was the one where Head came back, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
now.
Paradigm Shift is when Head came back, and it had Love and Meth on there.
Okay.
Right, and which then feels like the best of old Korn with the bits of the newer Korn stuff still in there.
Okay.
Which was only small bits, like they kept the keyboard player. But I'm pretty sure as well. Their side guitarist back when Head left was what's his face from Head PE.
No, don't know. I'm never ever paid attention to Head PE.
Oh, fair enough. That's a band that you just have a moment with, and they sort of disappear, just like the first Disturbed album.
Oh my goodness me!
That album that you sort of listen to, and then later on you're like, why am I enjoying this album as much as? Why am I not enjoying it as much as I did?
Yes, tell me about it. I was a Disturbed super fan with The Sickness back in the day. I'm a new metal kid. And,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I did a track by track for Disturbed's The Sickness about 6 months ago, and it was one of the most painful experiences they've had.
It's very tricky, right?
It just, I don't know if it's not, someone's not even necessarily to the band, it's a personal thing, whether it be the tastes just change and evolve, or you're just more picky and you can identify.
That's what I want to understand, because I love Disturbed's covers that they do. There's quite a lot of Disturbed stuff that I really enjoy now, with the way that they go. But if another band that was, in that sort of vein at the time is that I think Drowning Pool should have been much bigger.
Okay. That was a fart in the wind for them.
Which is a shame, because Sinner, I think, is one of the most underrated like new metal sort of heavy albums of that time. Like from start to finish, it's quite solid.
I think it was, we'll call it oversaturation. It's why so many just got buried so quickly.
Yeah, but plus they lost, I think it was Dave, their singer.
That's right, yeah.
They ended up with
Brian McCombs from Soil.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
And it just didn't work out.
No, absolutely.
So, but yeah, followed leader.
Yeah, we again, bloody hell, we're going to be here for days with these tangents.
No, I know, I'm so sorry. You're going to have like you've got 2 podcasts worth of...
Oh, it's brilliant. It's exactly what I want. What's the last record then?
This one is one that just sticks with me completely, and it's Dirt. Alice in Chains, yeah.
Oh, Alice in Chains is Dirt.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, you have chosen one of my most polarizing records for me. That's amazing. My wife's an Alice in Chains super fan. You'd get along great talking about it. I really struggle with Alice in Chains, like, to the point where I've tried so hard. I like them more these days.
Yeah.
Now they're less grungy and they're more rock, and I think William DuVall is wonderful and all that. But in the early Alice in Chains, I really struggle with, even though Lane is a wonderful vocalist, and obviously the band is great.
Yeah, I feel like Dirt in general is the shining example of an album that has more of their hits. There's a lot more that I can get into. Like, I've never really been a grunge kid.
Oh, fair dues, yeah.
Never really been a grunge kid. Like, I had my Nirvana moment, and then, like I said, that was a moment. And I look back and I don't think they're as amazing as everyone always goes on about. But then again, that's possibly, like you said, oversaturation of hearing Smells Like Teen Spirit once too many times. But then you go back to hearing songs like All Apologies, and it comes back to why they were a decent band. But when you come down to Dirt, it's got Rooster on it, it's got Woods, and Wood, I think, is one of my favorite songs in the world. The minute that those hats and the snares come in, it's just one of those albums that I can just zone out to and just enjoy the heaviness of sections for the thing. I've just got Wood wrong with another song. I think Wood is the one that's one that comes out, I think, with the bass intro. Every Which Way, like, it's just the album that I never ever completely remember the order of the tracks or the names of tracks or anything, because it's just one that I listen to and zone out to so often.
Yeah.
It's just there on, and I just lose myself in what I think is a good album. So yeah, I'm gonna have to double check the track listing on that so that I can, because I know the tracks by name usually, but now I'm thinking about the album.
You're asking the wrong guy when it comes to other than the hits. I wouldn't be able to, and then I wouldn't be able to tell you what they come on song wise. Where are we? Here we are. Dirt.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Them Bones. That's why. Them Bones and Damn That River are the first 2 tracks on there.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, even I'm looking at this now, and you're right. This is
I just grabbed it as well, just to say. So as the albums go, this is one with the hits like them. But the minute you start and it kicks in with that scream, that bow, ding, 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 ding,
yeah, even I know that.
And the fact that it's in a time signature that's not 4/4, it's not one where you clap 4 beats to a bar.
No,
it's weird to nod to. So to be brave enough to start an album with something like that is solid. Right, and the powerful chords, and then kicking that from that into down the river, or down that river, it's just masterful. You go from 2 songs that have a good structure, a good power, one after another. You know, those 2 tracks alone hook you to the album in the first place. You know, and then you've got Down the Hole on there, Rooster. Where is it? Yeah, Dirt. Oh, Angry Chair as well, and Woods. Yeah, for me, that's like virtually the greatest hits album that they've got.
Yeah, it's not far off, is it?
You know, there's so many more tracks off that and everything else. You know, all you need is Nutshell and the other hits to be added. Yeah, it's just one of those that I can listen to over and over and over again.
That's great to hear. I can't share your enthusiasm. I never will be able to. I've tried, mate. I've tried. I've even seen them live.
That's fair enough. Ask me in 2 days' time, and that list will change anyway.
That's how it always is. It's a matter of...
Because I'm missing Black Label Society. I'm missing Rainbow. I'm missing anything Dio at the moment. Like, I look at that list now, and I'm like, I want to stick by it, but I want to make changes already. You know, that's the iPod world, isn't it? Having everything streaming, Apple Music, Spotify. You know, and then part of me tomorrow would maybe want to put a Periphery album on there.
Oh yeah, goodness me.
You know, it all goes all over the place. Now I'm looking at again, I'm thinking that I want to put Carnival on there.
Wow, you've got a hell of a varied taste.
Very much so, very much so. It's all over the place, all over the place. And like I said before, like I'm also massively, as much as I'm more a metal and alternative kid, I love hip hop, I love reggae, I love ska.
Well, on that then, what's a band that you love that fans might be surprised to know? Because obviously, as I say, the expectation is that you will only listen to one style. And everyone likes to say they're eclectic and open-minded, but actually are. What's a band that people would be shocked if they knew you liked, or artist?
Shocked. Something.
Yeah, I know.
If I delve deep. That's tricky because the bands that I really like are very... Everyone's gonna like them. Like I love the Specials. I love Madness. Love the Scatterlights.
There's a shocker. You've already said it. The Madness, mate. I don't get Madness. Get it?
Oh, you know what? I think it's like about the Londonism of it all.
That's. I think that might be the most off-putting thing for me.
I think that's something. Like I met Suggs once.
Yeah. Okay.
Massively tall.
Yeah.
Massively
Okay.
tall. Like standing next to him, I was like, didn't expect that. And he just talks exactly like he sings.
Yeah.
And he was a nice guy as well. Again, like Madness hits are great. Like Nightboat to Cairo as well, and Our House and Specials. My old band was once in talks to support the Specials.
Wow.
Which would have been cool. But that all went to wayside, and Empire One has always been the funnest project of everything. I'm trying to think of a really, really good one. Like, let's not take a band. Let's go back to old crooners and so on. I really, really like Shirley Bassey.
Oh wow! Really? Okay.
Right. Especially the Bond themes are great, obviously. But I love her version, which is the original version of I Who Have Nothing.
Okay.
Which Tom Jones went and did afterwards.
That's where I know that from. Yeah, Tom Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she's absolutely fantastic. Coming up to more newer things, I actually secretly, which is not going to be a secret much longer, quite like a couple of the Poppy tracks that have come out. You know the what's her name? Poppy.
Yeah.
So weird because I remember just her popping up on one of those React channels, like of her like just going, I'm Poppy, I'm Poppy, I'm Poppy. I swear the video is like 12 minutes long on YouTube. And then there was like a track that came out, and it was that X one, where all of a sudden she's singing a track, and there's some metal manic riffing right at the beginning. And then I actually artistically like I Disagree, which is one of the newer ones as far as I know. Because sometimes I just leave YouTube on and things just come on.
Okay, yeah.
They play in the background while I'm doing stuff, and if something picks my ear up, and I looked up and I was like, "What do you mean that's Poppy?" So that's interesting.
She's marketing herself towards the alternative. Do you know what the biggest clue with Poppy was when I realized, oh shit, she's marketing herself towards the alternative rocker style? When we started to get her promotional material sent to us, and I remember being like, wait, isn't that a pop star? And
yeah, she had like electronic
and
going on before all the heavy stuff.
Exactly. And then I started to look into more, and I looked at one of the images, and I was like, what's going on here? And then I started going down that rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much.
A lot of it is miss. Let's be fair.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm on the train with the idea what's going on, but
one or two tracks, I was like, you know what? That's all right. I'll be open-minded enough. Like I quite like some of the Billie Eilish stuff that has come out. Some of it, like the darker side of it. Then again, everyone loves it right now. How disposable is it going to be? Is it going to be around in the next 2 years? Are people going to care?
That's the problem with modern music and pop music and hip hop.
That's my problem with pop music, and I hate poppy pop. I like loads of synths, like Melanie Martinez.
Okay, cool.
Like some of the stuff on there is quite dark and it's very poppy, but I'll entertain it every so often because it's, you know, as much as I prefer everything to have an overly distorted guitar, I have a break every so often.
Of course. God, you need it. Absolutely. Right, there we go then. That is all your items except one.
Oh, yes.
That now. Yes. Hours ago we discussed this because
Hours ago. Oh God, we've almost gone 2 hours. Amazing.
Yeah. It's basically a luxury item, something you feel you cannot live without, something that you need to bring with you. Don't do the boring musician thing, which is what all musicians do. I've got to bring my instrument. Let's see, something that you think you use every day, or, well, basically, as we said, you don't feel you can live without.
Well, my first one is not one I'm going to say online. I was going to say it's my staff pass.
You don't need that on the desert island.
No, I won't need it on a desert island. As of the past few days, I would say a fan, because I was melting.
Yeah, man, it's nice. It's got a bit cooler now, isn't it?
Live without. What can I not live without? That isn't my guitar. Isn't microphones. Isn't my MacBook. I'm trying to do something that's not music related, but the boring.
Trenched in you.
Like, thing is, I could go really in detail about the guitar, but I won't. I think what I would need to take is there is a photo album that we're putting together.
Okay.
Right, which is of through the years, and it's slowly getting filled up because it's only a small amount of photos through the years from Polaroid cameras and other little bits and pieces of all the times that we go out.
Oh wow.
All the times that we do something, you know, it's just that one good photo from that event. So in a few years, when that's full and out and about with the family, then that would be the thing I would take.
That's the sweetest thing anyone's ever said on this, man. It is almost always instruments or a coffee maker or things like that, you know? But yeah, that's really, really nice, man. That's nice.
Yeah, no, that it's even got music stuff within it because my son, with my mum and dad and my niece, also they brought one of my best mates, Lewis. We're at Bloodstock.
Oh wow!
I have a video of me, and not a video, a picture of me and Aidan inside the New Blood tent.
Oh, fantastic!
He's a picture of us there. So that's, you know, there's loads to it. It's every aspect and every facet of stuff that links family to the rest of our lives, and it's I think some nostalgic, kind-hearted stuff I would take with me
for those cool nights when you just need to reflect.
Yeah, when I don't feel like playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, basically. There you go. That is it. We are leaving you on this island, Ben. We're off. That's it.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, bruv. I really appreciate it. It's been a good chat. I didn't realise that we'd done 2 hours.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?